Recuperation, scenario 1. You just lost your 5th bet, you're down $1,150, and you lost your 6th bet, down $1,550. Wait for another 6-hand sequence, place your 7th and final bet of $1,600 on the matching hand. If you win that bet, which is 50-50, find a new table. If you lose that bet, find on another day. Scenario 2, you've won your 6th bet. Well, continue betting $400 until you have a $50 profit. And option 3, wait for a fresh 6th hand sequence and bet $800 on your 7th and final hand, matching the first hand. Let's go through a scenario or two as a refresh from last night. We want to check our history board. It's clean, and we're going to be finding again a 6 sequence pattern. And our first hand is a banker. We have a player. We have another player. And we have a banker. And another banker. And we have another banker. So the sequence pattern will be banker, player, player, banker, banker, banker. So that's what you want to remember. You can always revert back to the board just in case you forget or you didn't write it down correctly. So banker, player, player, your first 3 hands, $100 on banker, and you lost that. Next level is $200 on banker, and you won that. So we're now up about $100 if it's a non-commissioned table. But now we need to get 4 more hands to complete the next sequence. So the next winner would be player, and the next hand in would be a banker. Next hand would be a player, and we have a banker. So we have player, banker, player, banker, player, banker. Easy pattern to remember, but again, write it down. There are no ties in there to confuse anyone. Player, banker, player, banker, player, banker. Let's bet on player, and let's deal the cards. And we have a player win. So we're up again $200. We need 5 more hands to complete the sequence. And the first hand in is a player. Next hand is a banker. We have a player, a banker, and a player. So we have player, player, banker, player, banker, player. Player, player, banker, player, banker, player. Jot it down on your Baccarat card, and let's bet the $100 on our first bet player. And we lost. Second level, $200 on player. And we won that bet. So now we're up about $300. And we need 4 more cards dealt to complete the next sequence. And the next hand is a player win. We have a tie. We have a banker win. We have a player win. And we have another player win. So it's going to be banker, player, player, banker, player, player. That's the sequence you're going to follow. Banker, player, player, banker, player, player. Let's bet $100 on banker. And we won that one. We're up about $400. Let's deal 4 more hands and get our sequence down. We have a tie. That would be a player win, a banker win, a player win, and another player win. So our sequence going in would be player, banker, player, banker, player, player. Player, banker, player, banker, player, player. That's what we want to follow. So the first bet would be $100 on player. And that's a tie. Next hand, we won that hand. So now we're up $500. We need 4 more cards dealt, hands dealt, to meet our sequence. So we have a tie, a banker win, another banker win, banker win, banker win. So we have player, player, banker, 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 banker. That's going to be the sequence. You're going to try and match 1 to that sequence. Player, player, banker, 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 banker. So let's put a $100 bet down on player. And let's deal. And that's a loss. $200 next level bet on player. And that is a win. So we're up $600 very easily. And we need 2 more hands to complete the next sequence. So let's deal. And that's a tie. That's a banker win. And that's another tie. And that's another banker win. So we have banker, 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 player, banker, banker. Banker, 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 player, banker, banker. That's the sequence we're going to follow. So let's put a $100 chip on banker. And banker wins. So we're up $700. Never went past the second level. We need 4 more cards dealt to meet the next sequence. We have a player, a banker, another banker win, another banker win. So we have banker, banker, player, banker, banker. That's our next sequence that we're going to follow. Let's match one of them to win $100. So it's a $100 on banker starting off. And that's a tie. And we won the banker bet. So now we're up about $800. And we're at the 51st hand. Let's play one more. We need 4 cards to complete the sequence. It's a tie. That's a banker win. That is a player win, a banker win, a player win. So our sequence would be banker, 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 player, banker, player, banker, 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 player, banker, player. That's going to be our sequence. So let's put a $100 chip on banker. And we have a player win. Next level, $200 on banker. And we lost that. Next would be a $400 bet on player. I'm sorry, on banker, I apologize. And we won that. Okay, so we're up about $900 right now on the 59th hand. We need 1 more card to be dealt for the last sequence. And we have our last sequence, banker, player, 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 banker, player. So we want to put a $100 chip on banker. That's our next sequence, and this is our last sequence we're going to play. We're towards the end of the shoe, and we have a banker win. So we're up $1,000. We went to the 3rd level one time. We were not threatened at all. Very easily won $1,000, and this would probably take you about 45 minutes. I want to thank you all very much for joining me with this new hybrid flat betting bead road progression, 7th hand recuperation strategy. Let's talk about the 7th hand, and let's talk about the recuperation. When you're in the heat of a casino and you're at the table, one thing that does take over is fear and stop loss. So always remember, when you're at the table and you find yourself in that situation where it's now the 7th hand, should I or shouldn't I, don't have any fear and trust in the system. It's fear that causes most losses, and that is a fact. Also, stop loss. You want to make sure that you're within your stop loss gap. So if you're going to bet that 7th hand, You've got to be prepared with the correct bankroll and stop loss. So, seventh hand recuperation, we can talk about it, but there's nothing like actually being in that situation and experiencing a little bit of fear, because that happens. Just trust in the system, follow through, watch your stop loss, and don't worry about the fear. When you go into a casino, you've got to be equipped to lose your bankroll before you go in. So if you don't, it's always a bonus. That's how I look at it. That's how our club members look at it. We're very well prepared mentally and financially. Stop loss and fear, that's what you've got to decide to do. But trust the system. Good night.